ALP, title Policy Speech, key number ALP/17/1, duration 16 minutes 49 seconds, recorded 24/10/82, agency New Films.
The following is a policy announcement for the Australian Labor Party.
South Australia used to be the leading state and the envy of all of the states of Australia. Now, it's in reverse. That's why I've come to South Australia to be part of John Bannon's victory. That will restore South Australia to the position its people want it to hold.
South Australia and Victoria share many similar problems, mostly caused by Liberal government mismanagement. John Bannon's plans to stimulate employment, assist small business and get the economy on its feet again are based on sound common sense, and they will work. Victoria got rid of its Liberal government and the mismanagement that went with it, and I believe South Australia will do the same.
Australians are awake up to election promises and what they mean because Malcolm Fraser taught them. South Australians have had the chance to see what Mr Tonkin's promises were worth, and that's why they'll vote for John Bannon. John's got the sense not to promise what he can't achieve and the guts to be as good as his word.
Women in South Australia, married or single, working at home or in the paid workforce, are concerned about the way their opportunities have been neglected during the last 3 years. John Bannon shares that concern. With John Bannon as Premier, women's affairs will once again be given the priority they deserve.
Education is a key issue in this campaign. During the last 3 years, our education system has been run down. But our children are our greatest resource. A Bannon Labor government will make education more relevant for the young people who will have to find jobs in the 80s.
John Bannon's the right man for South Australia because he's a leader. I've seen how Malcolm Fraser can manipulate weak men at Premiers' conferences, and believe me, South Australia needs strong representation. With John Bannon at the helm, South Australia will have a leader who'll really make his presence felt and stand up for the rights and needs of all South Australians.
We want South Australia to win. In the battle to get our lifestyle back. We want South Australia to win. If you want our economy in better shape, it's time we started with a
South Australia needs a new direction. It needs a new start. It needs new opportunities, new developments and new vigour. It needs to put behind it the stagnation of the past, the lack of effort and the failure. South Australia needs to start winning again. 3 years ago, Mr Tonkin and his Liberals were given the opportunity to govern this state. They squandered that opportunity. After 3 wasted years, we're now worse off. Mr Tonkin promised to open the state for business, but we've had record business bankruptcies. He promised to cut your taxes, but he's put state charges up to record levels. Mr Tonkin wants us to believe that things are now better. But you think about it. Look back on the lifestyle you once enjoyed. Look back at the prospects and opportunities you and your families had, and compare that with what you have today. It wasn't so long ago that we showed Australia how. We were a state with ideas. People came here to live and to work. Our lifestyle was the envy of other states. Today, we lag behind. Record unemployment threatens more and more people in our community. South Australians are concerned about the security of their jobs, their homes and their lifestyle. Our schools are being threatened by cutbacks. We're building fewer homes. And the worst part is that people are having to leave South Australia. We don't say governments have all the answers, but we have the responsibility to try and to lead. We can do more for ourselves. Instead of sitting back, we need to go out and get our share of growth and development, our share of jobs and investment. We need to stand up to Mr Fraser and make South Australia's voice heard once again in Canberra. We need a government willing to take positive action to protect our jobs and our lifestyle and to develop new employment opportunities for our children. We need a government willing to work directly with the private sector, to take the lead, to unlock investment funds and create real jobs. That's the responsibility that any government in South Australia must face. It's a responsibility that Mr Tonkin and his government have failed to take up. But it's a challenge that I and the Australian Labor Party are prepared to accept. In government, our major goal will be to get South Australians back to work in a productive way. And as a first step, we'll establish the South Australian Enterprise Fund to assist the expansion of industry. The Enterprise Fund will pump investment into high technology and export industries. The fund will get behind businesses which have potential to expand and create jobs. The ALP will give a major boost to housing, and this will not only provide more homes for our people, but will also stimulate our depressed building industry. Again, that means jobs. The ALP recognises the tremendous job creation potential of tourism and small business, the forgotten sectors of our economy under the Liberals. We'll establish a small business corporation to act as a one-stop shop for small business. We'll improve the access of small business to loan finance, and we'll raise the small business payroll tax exemption level to give them a better chance. Instead of just talking about it, we'll provide real incentives to attract high technology industries to South Australia and to Technology Park in particular. Instead of empty paddocks, we want growth. We'll introduce a direct job creation program that will concentrate on giving people skills and training. We'll work through local government and community organisations to provide useful, satisfying jobs that have a future. South Australia was badly hit by the loss of the Bank of Adelaide. In so many areas, we've become the branch office state. Our banking sector is important as a generator of growth, and because of this, Labor will initiate a bold new approach to our banking sector. To keep investment in this state, we'll negotiate for a joint merchant banking venture between the state banks and an international bank. I can also announce that we will provide the infrastructure and incentives to attract a major Australian financial institution to set up its head office in Adelaide. We'll give strong backing to our resource and mineral development. We support the expansion of the Cooper Basin and Stony Point projects. These are important for South Australia's development. We had some criticisms of the Roxby Downs indenture when it was before Parliament last June. We believed there were unresolved safety issues, but now it has passed and the project is going ahead. Let me make it quite clear. No matter what you are told by our opponents, Roxby Downs can and will go ahead under a Labor government. The ALP believes that home ownership is central to our Australian way of life. But increasingly, home ownership is coming under real threat. Rising interest rates have forced many families into desperate straits in meeting their mortgage repayments. I've already announced that we would raise the exemption level for stamp duty for first home buyers to $40,000. Families will benefit by up to $850 by this initiative. We'll also provide deposit gap assistance to first home buyers that will assist 1,500 families. We'll introduce a new upgraded mortgage assistance scheme. We'll give assistance to households experiencing genuine difficulty in meeting mortgage repayments. Our scheme will help 4,000 South Australian families. We'll review the State Bank's lending program for low-income first home buyers. We'll boost housing trust construction in an attempt to clear the waiting list for trust homes, now totalling 24,000. And we'll restore the rental purchase scheme. We'll support the establishment of the Ramsay Trust to raise finance for low-cost housing. We believe that education is our investment in the future. Our children need realistic, relevant education to give them skills for jobs. In difficult times, education is even more vital for our children. It allows them to be better prepared for life and more able to get jobs. Instead of cutting back on education, it's vital that our schools prepare our children for work and for the future. We'll reduce primary class sizes. We'll establish a maximum class size of 25 at junior primary and 27 at primary level to improve the quality of education in our schools. Parents and the community must be more involved in the kind of education our children receive, and we will ensure this happens. Our healthcare system, once the best in Australia, is being run down. Hospital charges have more than doubled, and hundreds of nursing positions have been lost. We'll halt funding cuts to our public hospitals, and we'll establish more pensioner beds in community hospitals. We'll establish a $2 million polyclinic at Noarlunga to provide a full 24-hour, 7 days a week emergency service for Adelaide's southern suburbs. We'll open 4 wards with 120 new beds at the Flinders Medical Centre to meet current demands. We'll progressively replace the Lyle McEwen Hospital with a new 200-bed, $20 million hospital to serve the northern suburbs. We'll upgrade the status of the Mount Gambier Hospital. It will become a major base hospital for the southeast. We will introduce electricity concessions which will benefit pensioners, persons receiving sickness payments, widows and unemployed persons in needy circumstances. These concessions will apply from the date of our election. Our senior citizens must not be regarded as a burden. They are an important, integral part of our community. And because of their special concerns, we'll create a commissioner responsible for the aged. In community welfare, we'll return to concern. We'll establish an inquiry into poverty so that our welfare services can best meet needs efficiently. We'll pursue policies to achieve genuine equality of opportunity for women. Women must be given the chance to make the most of their individual potential in any endeavour, whether as homemakers or as members of the workforce. Today, I released the full details of our program. In transport, we'll give priority to the upgrading of transport corridors to the northeastern suburbs and to the neglected southern areas of Adelaide. We'll ensure that employers and unions are always consulted about any changes to our industrial laws, and this will promote industrial harmony. We'll re-establish a proper system of price control. We'll ensure that South Australia retains its lead in the arts, and will once again give full backing to the South Australian Film Corporation. And we'll maintain our programs for ethnic communities. Unlike the Liberals, we'll not allow state charges like transport fares, electricity and hospital charges to be used as a form of backdoor taxation. The ALP will not reintroduce death duties and will not introduce new taxes during our term of office. Now, last Monday, Mr. Tonkin gave what was essentially a recipe for further recession. He told us there was no need for new directions or initiatives. I cannot accept that pessimistic approach. South Australia must take up the policies of recovery, and that challenge will certainly require us to work together as a community. We've approached this election in a positive manner. Certainly, we have a duty to critically analyse the government's record, but we have not indulged in personal attacks upon our opponents, and we have no intention of doing so. There are many matters of importance that should be tackled on a bipartisan and consensus basis. Power, water and transport are just a few. We'll actively attempt to develop that common approach. But over the whole range of policies, one thing stands out. Either we accept the passive defeatism offered by the government, or we accept the energy and optimism of the ALP.